This video is for you. If you know what I talk about when I say that for some people, abuse is love and love is abuse. If you know what I mean about that, this video is definitely for you. What I'm trying to point to is that, and it's a conversation we have had in our community, that when we start to work with awakening and we start to look into the dissolving of thoughts and how we believe reality happening around us is real, when we really become aware that all of that is just made up, it's just concepts that we are living off, then we also start to realize that, oh, wow, I too, I'm just a concept. I'm just living my life in the way that I think I should, and with an I in the middle, and everything is unfolding around me. And when you really realize that that is not how it actually is, that is just a perception, then you are motivated to move through life with that, what I call body yes, body no. And that is when you have like that internal draw to do something or an internal resistance to doing something. And that is your gauge for a body yes, body no, for doing something and not doing something, where it's not tied in with the conscious mind that is telling you that something is a good idea. Because your personality, whatever you think is you, it's only 5% of who you actually are. The 95% you're not even aware of. It's under the hood. It is tied into your body. And like there's an amazing book called The Body Keeps the Score that I warmly can recommend you to read if you want to work with anything about embodiment, because it's basically that how your body looks is telling me what your underlying beliefs are. You might have that constant tension in your belly, in your stomach, which is always tied in with an underlying belief about shame. You might have that chest that is closed and you have a tension between your shoulders and your upper back. That is always tied in with a feeling of low self-worth. You might have that tension in your neck and into your shoulders. That is always about fear. Or you might be looking at me with that hypervigilant gaze where you see everything that is happening. That is you anticipating punishment. I can see on your face what your underlying beliefs are. I can see on your facial features if what you say out loud is actually what you believe about yourself and about everybody else. If there's a dissonance, it's very, very visible, because everything, 95% of your underlying beliefs is in your body. It's how you're carrying yourself, how you walk. It's the words you use. It's the way you connect with people. It's the way you talk. It's why it's so beneficial if you come to one of our inquiry groups or one of our retreats where you have me and Todd one-to-one and we can talk about these things. And I can see on your facial features, on your micro expressions, on listen to the words you're using. If there's a dissonance, I can hear and see on you where the issue actually is, because you're carrying around everything. I love Gabor Maté. He has a saying where he talks about trauma, because when we talk about trauma, a lot of people have that, I don't have PTSD, I don't have CPTSD, the complex PTSD either. I had a great family, everything's fine. And yet you have an underlying belief about shame or about guilt, or you're afraid of expressing yourself. We're never ever trying to place blame on anyone, because there's no blame to be placed anywhere. It's just a causation. It's causes and conditions. It's your parents did like they did out of their causes and conditions. How can you blame that? So when we talk about trauma, Gabor Maté has this amazing saying: trauma is not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you. And that is so descriptive of what I'm trying to convey. Because if you inside of you had a logical conclusion about something, you're still carrying that around with you. And when you start to do the Awakening curriculum, you become very, very aware of that drive in you. And what I would like to talk about today, it's that drive in you towards destructive behavior. It's when you know something is bad for you to do and you still do it. It's when you know that, oh, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't, you have a very, very clear sense, very clear knowledge, maybe from experience, that you definitely should not, do that specific thing, whatever it is. It can be like abuse, a drug abuse. It can be about pattern abuse. It can be about self-harm, and it can be about relationships. It can be about anything. You know you shouldn't do it, and yet you still do. For a lot of people, that is really puzzling. It's really complicated to understand why you keep seeking out destructive patterns when there's no need to. And we're back to the sentence that I said before, that for some people, abuse feels like love and love feels like abuse. If you have a coding in you from very, very early age where abuse was how you felt connected to your parents, it might be verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, intellectual abuse, physical abuse. It might be anything like that. But that was tied into how it is in our family, because when we abuse the children in whichever way, we're not aware that there's anything wrong with it. We believe that this is how it is. And it's not until we get older that we find out that, oh, hang on, it's not like it is. Other families don't do that. And then you start to think, oh, so is there something wrong with me? Since this is happening to me, am I doing something wrong? Am I the bad one? Am I somehow flawed since this is happening to me? And those deductions were made with a child's psychology, with a child emotional maturity. But you still carry it around. You're still motivated by the same thing. I have spoken with a lot of people that have experienced abuse as children and are in loving, compassionate, wonderful relationships, but still they're seeking outside of the marriage or the relationship danger or destructive behavior. And it just shows that underlying belief that we have, that underlying recognition that we have of a destructive behavior is so much more motivating than anything we can think with our conscious mind. And of course, 95% of you is subconscious. So of course, what I would like for you to become aware of, it is actually what we talk about in the Awakening curriculum, in the lower 5 fetters. There is a feeling in the body. There is a promise about something. There's a feeling in the body, let's say, and I'm just giving examples. You can put your own experiences in as this is just a placeholder. So there's a feeling in the body of feeling unsafe, let's say. Something is happening at work, something is happening in your relationship, something is happening, and it can be like the smallest thing. Like, did you remember to buy milk, your partner says, and you go, oh, I forgot. And immediately you get that feeling of unsafety. Because experience-wise, as a child, if you forgot to do something that you had to do, hell would break loose. You would be punished, you would be unloved, you would be, life would just be unsafe. And if it didn't happen now, you would tiptoe around because you knew it was eventually going to happen. That feeling in the body is arising again, now. And this is where the tricky part is, because we act as if our mind is omniscient, knows everything, And it doesn't. It just knows what happened, the deductions you made as a child, and then it projects that experience onto the future as if it knows what is going to happen. That's the fourth fetter. That we believe that there's something is going to happen because this just happened now. And that is the first domino where everything falls after that. Just because you have had experiences in your life where when you were unsafe, when you felt unloved, when you felt shameful, full of guilt, fearful, whatever, you knew this feeling, this contraction in the body means that something will happen. It probably did in that setting. It does not mean that it's going to happen now, because your mind is not omniscient. That feeling in the body is not omniscient. It doesn't know anything. So if you can become aware of that, what is it right now that makes me believe that I know what will happen? Can I just drop that and just stay with this? What would happen if, let's say I feel unsafe, that I am sitting here with me? I stay here with you. I promise I'm here. I can feel that you feel unsafe. I'm staying here. Okay, breathe, breathe, breathe. Lots of thoughts is going to come up. And every single thought is going to have a bodily contraction with it. And that bodily contraction is starting a new thought about something else in the same category. And that will spiral out of control until you do whatever you know works to bring yourself back to the equilibrium. And that is where the self-harm steps in. And that is where sometimes abuse feels like love. So if you then do something that makes you feel unsafe, even more unsafe, then there's a feeling of recognition and safety in that. It's not, though. You're just perpetuating, you're continuing an underlying pain, an underlying trauma. You're re-traumatizing yourself with your actions. I have spoken with a lot of particularly women that have experienced. I also want to do a little shout out for men. There's so many men that has been sexually abused, and it's not something that men talk about normally. If that has happened to you, I would like for the first thing that you do is just to acknowledge towards yourself it happened. Know that it was not about you. It was not your fault. It's not reflecting anything on you at all. You were just there. And seek help. You have not done anything wrong at all. That was a little bracket. But I have spoken with a lot of particularly women. And that doesn't mean that it's more women than men. It just means that is what I have spoken more to. That have experienced in the younger years finding a partner that gave them a feeling of safety, a feeling of love, and a feeling of belonging, and where they could finally exhale and they could be themselves. They didn't feel shameful at all. So they ran. Because that love felt like abuse. It was too complicated, too difficult to relate to. And then went into a relationship where everything was just pear-shaped. That happens so often. And it's because we are not aware in the moment that we are confusing abuse with love. And that we confuse abuse with love because we have that code in our body that is telling us that this is how it really is. Now you can use the Awakening curriculum to dissolve all that. I have a series at the moment where this video is a part of that is called Heal to Awaken, that is working with all this. But I can warmly recommend you to do the lower 5 feathers, the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So you do the lower 5 feathers over and over and over. Connect with our community. We have an amazing hive mind community on Discord. You can only become a member of the community if I speak with you first. We're very, very protective about our community. So join one of our inquiry meetings. We have a monthly meeting where you can speak with Todd and I, and then we can give you access to the Discord community. And it's wonderful to have other people that are doing the curriculum, that are working with all this, that you can always turn to. There's always somebody who recognizes themselves in your story, and that you can seek help with. Yeah. You're wonderful. Know that. No matter what happened, it was not your fault. You did not do anything wrong. Yeah, I think that was it. If I forgot to say anything, or if I forgot to touch on a point that you would like for me to elaborate on, please write it in the comment section. If there's anything that I should know, kindly let me know in the comment section as well. Thank you. We have created a course of our first Feather material. This course will walk you step by step through all of the ways in which identification is created and selfing happens. If you've been struggling to see through the self-structure or have that first awakening shift, this course contains hundreds of tools to help you discover the selfing mechanisms when they're happening, and then see through the illusion of identification that are created. Along with over 14 hours of videos, this $49 course contains a full book worth of summaries, extrapolations on the videos, written inquiry suggestions, and other text. So work slowly, leave time for integration. This is powerful material and it can be life-changing.